Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline, and my today's guest is Renee Hribar. And I'm so happy that you said yes for our interview. How
Yeah.
are you doing today?
Beautiful. Now that I'm speaking to you, I know the future is bright. I can see it out your window.
Yes, I'm a couple of hours ahead of you, and I'm
Yes.
so happy to tell you this about your future. Thank you so much for our interview, and of course, I want to introduce you a little bit. I found that, and you wrote it here. You are in sales, and sales is your topic, and also speaking. And I
Yeah.
found out selling for yourself membership. You have the doors are open now, and I'm
Yeah.
so interested in learning more about that. Please
Yeah.
tell us something more about you and your offers.
Sure. Yes. Well, I've been in business for a long time. I've had my first sales agency back before the internet. So big companies like AT&T, Quill, Intuit, so QuickBooks hired my company to train and manage sales teams for them. And we went out business to business for 15 years, 5 states. I had 300 employees. And so I've been teaching and giving, sales training for a long time. And then when I sold that business, I became a yoga teacher. And then during my yoga classes, I met two doctors who had they were cancer research doctors. They had a healthy beverage, but they didn't know how to sell it. So I started consulting them. And then the company started to really catch some traction. So I became a partner, and we then were in 180 grocery stores in about 2 years. And then we sold it to our competition. And and then I found out I was pregnant with our child after really wanting a baby for a while. My husband and we had been married for 12 years already. So I took 5 years off, and I was able to just be, focused on this child that we brought into this world. And then when he started going to school, I was thinking, what could I do to benefit the world? How could I help people? And so I came into the online space through a series of I bought a book off Amazon. I downloaded a freebie. The author of the book started emailing me. I didn't realize I was on her broadcast email list. And then I realized there were a lot of women entrepreneurs online that had not had professional sales experience. They had gained their experience that made them the expert in their field, typically through working for someone else.
Yeah.
And when you work for someone else, they come to you and say, hey, here's the thing I need you to do. And you say, okay, I can do it. And then you deliver it and they say, thank you. And that's how it works. You're just really good at what you do. People come to you. But when it comes to running your own business, people don't always come to you. So I needed to help them with leads that felt lead generation that felt easy, that was not time consuming, that didn't act like the guy in the middle of the mall spraying perfume on you.
Mhm. Yeah.
And and then I also wanted to teach them how to have a conversation on the phone or Zoom to close a client if they were qualified. So that was another thing that I felt that I saw women doing, entrepreneurs, that they would get somebody on the phone and they felt because they booked a call, they had to make them an offer. And I said, oh, definitely not. You need to qualify them first. So lead generation and closing clients in a way that is something you want to deliver on, right? Because they're the expert. You're selling your own services. Selling for somebody else and selling for yourself are completely different. And then I also felt that a lot of women were taking training from men, and the way that men sell is very different. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just very different. So that's where I sort of found my space in the online space. And so now I have a membership. I have private consulting. I still consult big companies. I also have a mastermind. So I have courses, a membership, a mastermind, retreats. I do. I've ticked the boxes. Done the TEDx talk, developing the books, all those things. So that's been my journey so far. Thanks for asking.
Oh, I love that so much. Thank you so much for clarifying. And now I have a picture of you, a proper picture. And what you said, I love what you said about the art of selling and the differences between men and women. I learned
Yeah.
from men as well. We have maybe Germany's sales trainer number one, or I think he calls himself Europe's sales trainer number one. I learned from him, of course, in my
Mhm.
German language, but then I turned to America and I found also those male examples, and which is beautiful, but also the feminine part, art selling is called spiritual selling or sacred selling, or you put your soul into it and you write from your heart to attract the clients. So how do you find, if I may ask, the balance between the two arts?
Yeah. Well, I don't talk about soul selling or anything else that you just mentioned. So to me, it's not men selling, and so to me, feminine selling does not equate soul selling and writing from your heart. It equates to me being able to put your head on the pillow at night with a clear conscience, and then be able to speak from your own, like from where your truth is. For example, I have a lot of women that they just don't want to brag, right? But they have to share their facts about their experience so that whoever they're speaking with understands that this person is very valuable. This person's advice is valuable. So I give them logistics, so the logical side, to be able to put that information in front of a potential client without them having to feel like they're bragging about it. So I've developed sales systems. So that's why it's sales and systems strategist, sales systems that help the women that I work with share their expertise, but not in a way that is bragging. And we do things like having them fill out a form or sending an email with a very specific context, or sharing a story that has an example through what they have helped somebody go through from problem to solution, versus just saying, I help people from problem to solution. They say, I have an example. Let me share a story about Sally. She had this problem. Does that sound familiar? Well, here's the solution that we came up with. And if Sally's problem feels familiar to you, then the solution might be the right next step for you. So take this action. Here's the call to action. Either book the call or whatever the case may be.
Wow. I love that so much, what you said also about the clear conscience. I don't know the word. What you said, what you said, because I remember those techniques, so-called techniques, where you push the client or you force them to, let's say, sign a contract or something like that. No, you disagree with what I offer you to buy.
Well, with what a lot of people, so for men, it's a lot of times about turning over objections. And I don't teach to turn over objections. I teach to qualify before you make an offer so that those objections get dissolved before you even make the offer. So, I'm not here because men's brains naturally light up when there's conflict. Like, look at little boys, right? They love to play war, even if they've been brought up in a peaceful home, even if they've never experienced it. It's just in their nature to wrestle and to battle and to, create things that, like, my son, when he was little, he's like, I made a gun. I'm like, oh, really? Thinking, oh my gosh, he never even heard the word gun from me. Why is he even saying this word? No. So instead of jumping down his throat and asking where he heard it, I said, what does your gun shoot? He's like, blueberries. And I'm like, okay. So it's just little boys' brains think differently. And it's not just cultural, because we definitely raised our son in a very, here's dolls and here's, things to play with, things that traditionally girls might play with. I gave them lots of different options. And from my own experience, as well as lots of studies, men and boys' brains light up when there's conflict. Women's shut down. We are we want to be nurtured. We want to nurture others. We want to help others. The biggest statement that my clients say before they meet me is, I just want to help people. I don't want to have to sell them anything. Agreed. We just want to help people. But there has to be some sort of exchange of money for resources, as it is, right? My mortgage company doesn't take good feelings as payment. They take money. And so how do we accept money if we just want to help people? Well, this is where the sales systems come in. So it's about developing true, genuine relationships, asking deep questions, listening, and then making appropriate recommendations.
Wow, I love that what you said. Wow. Thank you so much. I had the word in mind, conversation, to convert, to convert. You didn't use the word. So I have to ask, is it like a red flag word or? No.
No,
You
no, not at all.
turn over and exchange.
So a lot of the women that I work with, because of the way that we look at money and the way that we look at selling, it's about reframing how we're looking at the interaction, how we're looking at the transaction. Because if it feels transactional, if it feels like I've got to convert versus connect, right? Then it's going to switch something off in our brain, and it doesn't matter how good the script is, doesn't matter how good the system is. If we don't want to do it, it's not going to happen. So people often ask me, especially people that don't know me yet, do you teach mindset? And I've never had used that terminology before, but after 20 years of teaching sales, I now cannot believe that people would separate mindset from sales. You have to teach how to think about it. Like the hardest territory to work are these 4 inches right here.
Yes.
Once our mind is right, then the logics and the logistics make sense. So I always say I teach the logical side and the emotional side of how to sell for ourselves.
Okay, I understand. And my next question is, we are talking about inspiration here in this podcast, of course, and I would like to know, who were your mentors? Do you have mentors and coaches for yourself? And who was the best coach you ever had?
Yes. Well, I mean, I've had coaches and mentors throughout my career. So before the internet, I was in masterminds. Before the internet and a lot of digital marketers sort of twisted those words. I will say this: that a lot of the people that I've hired and spent money and time investing in have been really down to earth and very knowledgeable, sages, if you will. So my best coaches, my best mentors are always the ones that I connected with. So we're not going to, without naming any names, the reality is you're always going to go further, faster with a coach, with a mentor, with a guide. Yes, we can figure things out. We live in the age of information. It's not like we have to go to a book now and go look it up. We can find the answer with a video and a tutorial and a step-by-step image in moments. So why do we need coaches? Because we still need that person to ask us questions and help us decide what place and pace to take next.
Yes, that's true. A mentor saves time, saves you time. And I think it's also about accountability, to hold you accountable for what your assignments are, for example, if you like this. And my next question is, how do you inspire other people?
Through stories, right? I just report the news, right? I do my work like every other good soldier out there. I do my work, I put my nose down, and I work with my clients. My clients don't wonder where I am. They don't have to come up with ideas to come to me. I'm always coming to them and working with my clients. So through that work, then I turn around and I share publicly, not their name. I'm like their secret hidden asset that can help them from behind. But when I do speak publicly, it is about the stories and the struggles and the results of the people that I've worked with. So I inspire through stories.
Wow. I love that very much. Yes, what you said, and it gets me to think, I have to re-listen to this podcast episode because there were so many nuggets. I learned so much. And I'm impressed, why? I think because I don't know many women examples in sales. And you talk about 20 years and before the internet and so on. So that's very impressive. And the world needs women, or how do you call
Yeah.
it? Female leaders, leaders,
Yeah.
other, yes, for us, other women
Yes.
to empower. So thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
what are your gifts and talents?
Yes, well, I have a mini sales course that is free, and it allows you to go through the key phases of what it looks like to generate leads and move them toward qualifying them so that we can consult them on their best next step. So whatever you're selling, whatever your expertise is, that process still needs to happen regardless of how they enter your business, whether it's through an enrollment director or whether it's through you or whether it's through a form or an application or a sales page. That the part that I teach in the free sales course is always the prerequisite.
Wow, thank you so much. And you talked about when you are working with clients, also to be present for them, coming up with ideas, and how important is taking initiative for
On my
you?
side or theirs?
Yeah, this was the question, for which side. Maybe you can talk about both sides.
Well, yeah, both. I mean, if both of us are taking initiative to improve our business, to improve that business faster, then it's going to go faster. So when I work with someone, I'm able to come to their side, and the two of us sit on the same side of the table and we think, okay, here's the business that we're working on, and it's their business. And so the first shift that they make is their business is not them, even if their business bears their name. You are not your business. Your business is a separate entity. It needs to be treated as such. So you can go off and do different things, but your business can still go on. So a lot of people that I work with get really frustrated because they're like, well, I've already sold that. I've already delivered that. I want something new. Okay, well, you can get something new. Your business should be structured and, in essence, boring. The more boring the business, the bigger it can get, the more impact it can make. You know, Billy Joel talks about singing Piano Man, how he was bored singing Piano Man, so he didn't want to sing Piano Man anymore, which is his, you know, his crowd fan favorite. But he didn't help anybody by not singing it anymore.
Yes, that's so true. And I can relate to that. 1 year ago, I was at a Billy Joel concert in New York City and Madison Square Garden, and you told me, or was it you coming from New York originally?
Yes. Yep. I was born and raised. I lived there till I was 23.
And you are in Detroit now. This is
Yeah.
amazing. Wow,
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention it at that point. And I have one last question. Sorry.
Yes.
I have one last question for you. If people reach out to you, yes, they will reach out to you because
Yes.
it's so interesting talking to you, working with you. After listening to this episode, of course.
Yes.
Yes. And how can they help you? What are you looking for?
What am I looking for in my business?
Yes.
I'm always looking for great people to bring to my community. I have a community of tens of thousands of women that I love to share experts and other ways to do business in different frameworks. So I have an expert series that I run where I spotlight different women in my community and their business. So they can always reach out with something that they've got going on that they think might help my community.
Oh, I love that because it's all about connecting people, like
Yeah.
this podcast as well. I love it so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Maybe you have the last message to the audience.
I think more than anything else, trust ourselves, trust yourself. You know, we might not be experts in digital marketing when we first come into the online space. You know, we know a certain amount about a certain amount of things because we had that experience in corporate or by working for someone else. But that doesn't mean that you're new. You might be newly learning the digital marketing game, but trust yourself. That was one of the things that I wished I had done more of when I first came to the online space a few years ago is I didn't believe the things that I had learned before translated to the online space. And they did. But I went through a cycle of trying all kinds of different things that didn't work and were very frustrating because I thought I had to be a certain other way to be online. And in reality, I just needed to be myself and share what I've experienced and help others.
Oh, thank you so much. This was amazing. Please reach
Thank
out
you.
to Renee. She's amazing too. And see you in the next episode.